Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful and exciting tutorial on Streamlit project, we're picking another tutorial, right? Another app to build. So in the previous tutorial, we saw how to build a very simple converter app. So in this particular session, we'll be trying to see how to build another generator app, right? So the simple workflow is that you'll be having, for the app that we're building, we are going to have an input session where we will receive input from the user, and then it's going to go through some processing. So it can be any Python function, can be another package you'll be using, can be a database, can be something else, right? That is going to be the middle layer. Then we are going to have another part of the app to display the result to the user, in which the user can download, can see, or can do anything with it, right? So that is the basic workflow. So let's go straight away to our project. So to recap, all the things we'll be doing is already here. All the apps that we'll be building are already on JCharisTech/Streamlit project or JCharisTech/ right Streamlit project. So either of them can get it, right? Okay, so this is on GitHub already. So we have lit converter, which we did. We will also be shifting from here to names gen, right? You do this one for now, and then we move on to this one, and then the rest, right? So the order may change, but these are the apps we are building for now. So let's go back to our workspace. So I'll come back again to my app, my workspace. So this is the app we'll be building. Let me show you the app we'll be building. We are building the names generator app, right? So I'll come down here to the app and let's see the app. So this is a simple random names generator app that we're building. Yeah, something simple for us. So it's having two sessions, having the normal names list, having the home, right? So if I come back to the home section of the app, I can select the number of names to generate. So let's say I want to generate 10 names. Then I'll specify the name. I want both names, right? It can be male or female. So click on generate. Then it's automatically going to generate names for me, right? So these are random names of male and female, right? Very simple. Then I can also copy to clipboard here, right? With this option here, you can see that I can copy it with this, copy to clipboard, and then I can also download the entire stuff. So if I click on it, it's going to download the particular test for us, right? With the result on it. So the app is very simple with all of these things. So these are the apps we'll be building. Yeah, 30 days of Streamlit. But for now, it is just 7 days, as I already said. Okay, so let's move on and then go back again to the app. So this is the first part of the app. So if I go back again to this app, I can also come to the name list part, which is going to generate random names, right? So this is it. So if I come back to the app itself here, we have the option of generating random list or generating pet name list, right? So if I come to the names list, I can also do the same thing. Select first name only if I want only first names. If I want last names only, I come down here, click on generate. It's going to generate a list of last names, and then I can copy it here. As you can see, I can also download it like the previous session. Okay, that is nice. That is simple. We can also select not just first names, we can also get positive words in case you only want positive words as a random list to use. You can also specify the amount, generate it. Very simple. That is going to be something very basic you are building, right? For the pet names, we also have the same option, but this time we can specify the particular format we want, right? So if I go back to generate any pet name, it's going to generate a random list of pet names. So central bass, willing back, adequate rhino, adequate rhino, eternal tiger, very, very funny pet names, right? Pivot. And I can copy it with a clip to copy to clipboard, or I can also download it. So any of them is going to work. Perfect. Now we can also specify the alphabet is starting with. So let's say if I say go with C, I can generate only a pet name starting with C, right? So cute camel, cool cow, comfy camel, cleared clown, right? Cheaper cat. Some of them are funny names, yeah. So this is a very simple app you'll be trying to build, right, from scratch. Okay, so let's start building up. So this is the app overflow. As we said, the simple workflow for the app is that we are going to have an input session, and we're going to have some function or a package to help us do whatever we want to do, and then we're going to have our output. So let's start from scratch. So I'll go back again to my workspace, and let's close the app that we're running. Perfect. So this is my workspace, and as we already in a folder, we have our first app which we built. So let's go on to the next one. So the naming can change anyhow, but I want to follow this particular format to make it clean. So I'll just call it as 06, but you can give it any name, right? You can just give it to that name. So I'm going to make a folder called 06, right? It can be 02, but we are just making it like that to follow the convention. So names gen app, right? Then I'm going to move into my 06 name, that is day 6, right? But we are giving it as day 2. Okay, let's create our first file, app and our readme. I'm going to open my file. Perfect. So we're going to open it. We have our app itself, and by default you're also going to give the same readme that we're doing. So what I'll do is that I'll just copy the readme for the previous one and modify it. So I'll come back again and I'll paste in this, right? So Streamlit, the name of the app this time is going to be my names generator app, right? So this is not, the description is just to generate, so generate random names, right? So random names and then random list, something like that, right? Very simple. So not just names, you are generating names and then pet names and then random list. That is the basic understanding. So this time we are not using word cloud, we are using Streamlit, and we are using a package called names package, and then we will be using custom functions, right? Random, right? So the main package you are using is these ones, right? Streamlit names package and then random. There is also another package called pet names package, which you will not be using, right? But you can also use it to do the same thing. That is, these are the basic packages to be using for app. Okay, so let's go back again to our app.py file. I'm going to be importing our core packages. Core package. I'm going to be importing Streamlit, import Streamlit as st. So in the next tutorial, right, I'm going to show you a simple tool we have written to make our work easy for us. So by now you see the workflow, right? So this is going to be a workflow. So import Streamlit, then I'm going to create my first part of the app. Let me position the stuff there. So we have my main app, right? And as we always do, this is going to be our pass. Then everything that we'll be doing will be going here, right? Everything will go in between here, as we already know. I don't know whether it's big enough, right? I hope it's big enough for everybody to see. Yeah. Okay, so let's create our first app. So we have our menu. It's going to be the particular part of the app. We have the home session, we have the names list session for random names, and then we have our about, right? Perfect. And then this, let's give it a simple name. So st.title, this is going to be my names, see how I spot names generator app, and this is still part of the Streamlit project subheader. Streamlit project, right? Okay, so perfect. We are done with it. Now let's create a choice for this then. So it's going to be our choice for the app. So st.sidebar.select box. I don't know whether the audio comes up and down. I don't know. I hope it is better now, right? So menu. Perfect. And that is home. So let's do the same thing we do. So if choice is equal to home, we are going to specify that this is going to be our home page. So let's go as home page, right? Else, if the choice is equal to the name list, I want you to say that, okay, this is the name list page, right? And then the final one is going to be my else st.about subheader. I don't know why I always say that. About. Okay. Perfect. So these are going to be our 3 main sessions, and as we said in our workflow, we always need a part of the app as our input, right? A place to receive input from the user, then a particular function, then our output. So let's design our input session for the app. So I'll come down to the app itself that you are working on, right? And I'm going to generate the input for the first time. So let's go back again and create our, so let's give the number of ways to generate. So number of names to generate, right? Then st.number input, right? I'm going to specify the number to say, so number of names, right, to generate. Perfect. And I'm going to give it the minimum value. So let's go with minimum value, which is going to be, let's give it, because this is, let's give the minimum value of, or we can just give it a default value, not minimum value. Let's give it a default value. So value of, say, 6, right? Or 7. 7 is a perfect number. Perfect. That is the basic understanding, right? And then from there, we are going to go back here and then we are going to create our result. So this, let's specify the gender because we also want to specify the st.radio button. Then I'm going to specify the gender, so we are going to have the name, gender, right? We want both as the first one. This can be a list or it can be a tuple, but let's go with a simple tuple, so both. For the first one, we also have male, and then we have female, right? Perfect. So this is going to be our input session. Perfect. And we need to create a button to help us with that stuff. So if st.button, the button is going to be generate, right? To generate the name. Then I'll just come down here, then I'll specify some basic stuff. So what we want to do is that let's go with let's come back here and go with pass, right? Let's see what you have done so far. So I'll position the app well. So I'll go back again to the location of the app, which is this place. As you could see, the app is running. So to run it, I'll just go with Streamlit app.run. But before, in case you don't have Streamlit on your system and you want to install it, just go with pip install Streamlit. And the next package you'll be using to help us with our tasks is go with names package, right? We want to make it simple for us. So these are the two main packages we are using, Streamlit and then the names package. Okay, now let's open Streamlit. So Streamlit run app.py. Then whilst it's opening, I'm going to position my workspace. Perfect. So this is going to be the URL. So I'll copy this one and then paste inside my browser. Okay, perfect, right? So now let's make sure that everything is working as expected. So our app is working, as you can see. We are using the white theme for now. The app is working as expected. So you can see that we have the name section, we have the gender and the details. So we are done with the first part of the app, which is going to be the input session. Now let's move on to build a function to help us with our stuff. So this time we are using a simple package to help us with our tasks. So go back again to our workspace and then our app, right? Perfect. So let's see what we can do. So to be able to work on it, we are using the names package to help us do that. So with the names package, let me go back again. I'm going to split this one into vertical. Yeah, the app is the app running. Then I'm going to be showing you something to make our work easy, right? So IPython 3. So the package we are using to help to make our work easy for us is called the names package, right? So with the names package, if I go with import names, I can do a lot of things. If I go with dir.names, we have a lot of things we can do. So you can get the first name, right? Can get the full name, can get the last name, can just get the name, right? And can join them, can do some big stuff. So what we'll be picking for this session of the app is that we'll be getting the full name for the session of the app, right? So if I go back here, and I just go with still the same package, right? And I just go with, let's say, names.get full name. So we have get full name, right? You can use get full name to be able to get full name. So full name, the function is going to automatically generate one. So in case I want to get multiple name, I just look through them. So for I in range, let's say 5, right? I'll just go with the same thing. So names.get full name. And with this, so it's going to automatically generate these names for us, right? So a simple function like this, right? So the reason it not come that I was not printing out the result. So let's print the result. So print the result of our generation. So I come down so that now it automatically generated names for us, right? Very simple. So in case I also want first name only, I'll go back again and just go with first name. So first name, the same amount. Perfect, right? So that is how this particular app works. The package is very simple, right? Names, get full name, to give you just one. In case you want to get multiple names, you just go with this option. So let's see how to implement this one or add this particular function to our app. So I'll come back again to the app itself. This is something that I was doing later on. So the app is working, everything is working as expected, right? So the app is already opened, right? And then as we said, in case you want to be able to work and generate names, we are using the names package, right? And it gives you the option of generating a single name. In case you want to generate multiple names, just go with loop through it for I in range, then you loop through them, right? So that is how to generate multiple names. So that is what you are using for our function. So I'll come down here, and then let's move on and make everything perfect. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to use the same thing that we did to generate the names there, right? So if the person clicks on a button, we want to specify the gender, right? So we can only get male name. Back again. Let's try the basic one, right? So the basic one is going to be like this. So result, I'm just going to go with my looping through them. So let's say the name dot get full name function. Then I'm just going to for I in range. The range is going to be the number of names supplied, right? Perfect. Now let's print it out. So st.write to get the results. And in case I want to make it copyable, right? I just go with st.copy or code rather, and I'll pass in the same thing. So this makes it copyable. So let's save it and see. So always rerun the app. Then if I come down to the app itself, let's generate 7 names. If I go now, so names is not defined, so we have to import that particular package, right? So that is the mistake we made on our part. So I'll come back to the top of my app here, and I'm going to import names package. So now if I click on generate again, it's automatically going to generate some names for us, right? So you see that our app is working. So this is random names with male and female names, right? So how do you only select only male names and female names? So this package also gives you the option of doing that. So if I go back again to the same thing we did here, in case I want to get only male names, I'll just specify the gender. Specify the gender as male. Right? By specifying the gender, you're only going to get that particular stuff. So if I go with, it's always going to give me a male name. Always a male name, right? If I change it from male to female, by default, it is set to none, right? So this is going to be a female name. I don't know how. I do not know how Albert Bodino is a female name. It's funny anyway, but it works, right, as you can see. So let's see how to work on this particular package, right? So I'll just go back again, and then I implement that same thing in our app. So in case you have any question or contribution, you can also put it in the comment section below. And in case you want to get more, I have some courses on Udemy, Learn Streamlit, and I'll be adding the 30 days Streamlit challenge, not just 30 days, multiple apps, right? It's an upcoming tutorial or course, which is parts, right? We are already developing it. The 7 days challenge is part of that, so you can also, in case you want to get all of them, you can also check it out. Okay, this is just simple shout out. Just self-promotion. Anyway, okay, we also have some materials in the links in the description section, so you can also check it out for more. Okay, so let's implement this one here. So I'll come back here. Let me reduce this one so I can see it well. To be able to add that particular function, I'll just go back again and specify it. So to get the both, we can just do it like this. You can see that, okay, if the gender is equal to both, right, I want you to specify, I want you to give me this particular result, right? If it is equal to this, give it the default, right? Else, any other thing, give me this result again. And then paste in the gender there. So I'm going to specify the gender. So gender is equal to gender, right? So perfect. So this code here is going to be for the both, right? If the person select both. If the person does not select both and select male or female, automatically pick what the person has selected and put it here and give us the names. So I'll save it, go back again to the app. The app is working. Let's choose male and let's see what it's going to give to us. So generate. We are generating 7 male names. Yeah, I don't know. It's giving us some funny names here. I don't know why it's giving us this, but yeah, these are all female names. So let's pick the male. Generate. Right. So this is, it's missing them. Some of them are correct, some of them are not accurate. So let's see why. Let's go with the boot and see. Okay, this one misses them. So let's save it. I think we have not saved, that's why. So I'll go back again. Click on this. Yeah, this is giving us both of them. The app is working perfectly, right? And then if I go with only the male, right, perfect, it's giving us only male names, right? So that means that our app is working as expected. Very simple. Now we are done with the first part of the app. So let's add a download button to it. So to add a download button to it, we have gotten an option of being able to copy to clipboard with this particular feature here, right? So now we can copy to clipboard here. We also want to add the download button. So let's add a download button. So this is going to be download button, and it's very simple. Since it is coming as a list, we can convert it to a string, then automatically send it to Streamlit. So it's going to be my st.download button. This is a new feature. Now pass in my key or my label, so download, right? Then the next one is going to be the data itself. So this is going to be my data, so string. Let's convert the entire stuff to string. So by this we can be able to download it. So if I save it now, I come down, we're going to have that particular button that allows us to be able to generate and then download. See the download button here. If I click on the download, we can be able to download our app, the results, and you can see that the term is there, right? The same thing that was there. Perfect. So we are done with some part of the app, right? One part of the app. So that is how to build the name generation aspect of the app, right? So you can also add more features to it for the first name, last name, and the rest. So let's move on to the next section of the app, which is going to be the names list, right? So this one is just generating a list for us. We want to also generate random stuff, not just for human names, but also for other stuff. So I'm going to go back here to the names list. So let me bring here, everything is working as expected. There's a code. Yep, just copy, right? So I'll come down here, and for the names list, we'll be writing something simple. So let's work on this. So this same thing we must, as the workflow is, we need an input session and then a function. So I'll go back again for my input session for the app. So we need an input session, right? So let's build the input session for the app. So the first thing we're using, we are going to create the same thing we did. So number of names, or let's call this number of words we want to generate, right? Because it's not just names. Number of ways to generate, that's going to be the first part of it, right? So let's make it, let's give it a layout, right? That's how the app was. Then I'm just going to go with my column 1 and then column 2. So st.columns 2, right? Then this is going to be for the first column. So with column 1, this is going to be st.subheader, or let's make it info. This is going to be my random list, right? Then the next one is going to be with column 2, st.info, or let's make it success, so it looks different. This is going to be the names list, right? So we have random list, we have the names list. Okay, so let's check what you have done so far. Come back to the app. Yeah, we have the names list option here, and everything is working as expected. So we have the random list and then the names list. So let's do the stuff for the random list. So we're going to be randomly selecting from different places, right? So let's specify the input, so number of words that we want to generate. So st.number input, I'm going to specify the number of words I want to generate. So number of words, and let's give it a minimum value of 1 and then a max value of, let's say, 100, right? We don't want to be more than that. And then the normal value of 6, right? Default value, or let's make it our default value of 7, as we have been doing. Perfect. That is it. So let's specify the category that the person can select. So the category is going to be st.select box. Then I want to specify the category that the person can select. So the category is going to be a list of, the person can choose the first name, so first names, right? You can also choose last names. We can also choose, let's say, any mouse. And what again do we have in this world? We have positive words. Positive words. We also have negative words. Right. And we can also add some more stuff there. So let's say adverbs. And then which one again? Adjectives. Right. So this is going to be our list. So if I save it, we are going to have our select option here, whereby we can actually select. So let's open it and see. It's supposed to generate it for us. Perfect. So it has generated it for us, as you can see. So we have all the list here, right? So the app is working as expected. Perfect. So I'll just come down here from here, and then we have done the category. So let's move on and then work on the other button. So the button is going to be my simple button. So if button st.button, let's call it as generate, right? If that is the name of the button, perfect. I want you to give me my result. So we can just do something like this. So this is going to be the first method. So this is going to be method one, right? So it's going to be if the category is equal to, let's say, first name, right? First name. If the category is going to be first name, I want you to do something. So now in this particular option, what we'll be doing that we'll be using the names package that we had here to generate the same thing, right? So we'll just go straight away to my result, which is going to be the same thing we did. So we are going to specify what we want to do. So the names dot get first name, right? Then for I in range, we are going to specify the number of words, right? Perfect. That is it. So let's bring it out. So right, result. I'll go back again and let's expand it and see. Perfect. So this is the first name. If I come down here to the first name, let's generate. That is what you have selected. The result is supposed to be first name, right? So it's working perfectly well. So you're supposed to do the same thing for last name, animals, and the rest. So I'll just go back again, and then I'll duplicate this one. So copy this one here, and I'll modify it. Do the same thing for the rest, right? So else if the category is last name, I want you to get the last names. So get last name, right? And the second one is else if it's go to animals. Want to give me animals name. So this we'll be working on it later, right? So this we'll work on it later. Pass. And then if it's called to which one again? Positive words. We are also going to pass, right? Something like that. Okay. So else if, you must bring the else if. So that is one of the simplest method, right? That is the else if. So where is it giving us an error? The syntax error somewhere. Yeah, because of the pass. So let's make it this way. None yet, right? Okay. Perfect. So the app is working as expected. So if I come down here and I specify the last name and I click on generate, you're also going to get a collection of the last names, right? Perfect. So that is the basic understanding behind the app. So the result is not coming, but let's bring it down to see the result. Just indent the result option. If I click on the generate, we can see our result down here, right? The app is working. So this is one of the ways of trying to use an else if, right? Very simple. So let's work on the names and then the positive words and then the rest, right? So I already have a file that has all the positive words, all the negative words, and all the animals, adverbs, adjectives, right, which I got from a lot of places, from the names package and then from another guy on GitHub, right? So I'll be importing those things, and then we'll be using that particular one for the rest, for the main part of the sessions of the app. So I'll go back to my name generator app. I'm going to paste it here, right? It's called ultimate word list.py. So it's having all the things that we specify to use. So I go back here and I check it out. You can see what I have there. So if I come back to the app, you can see that to that ultimate word list.py, we have the adjective list, adverb list, animal list, negative word list, positive word list, right? So this is what will be important into our app itself here. So it's going to be from ultimate word list, right? We're going to be importing the animals list. So we have animal, importing these things. So animals list, adverb list, adjective word list, right? So I've imported them, right? So this is from the ultimate word list. I'm importing this particular stuff here. Then I'm just going to go back here. So if that is the case, I want you to pick from that particular list. So how do we pick from that list? So this is automatically, so to be able to pick from a list, we can just create a simple function. So I'm just going to create my function here, right, to help us with that task. So we are using random to help us with that. So I'm going to import random to help us to get from our list. So this is how random works, right? So let's say I have a list, right? I have a list of files here. So let's say I have my list here, which consists of, let's say, words like, let's say, John, James, let's say Jesse, right? Something like that. And let's add another word like, let's say Peter, right? And then Ali, something like that, right? So we have some names here, and let's add one, Kofi, right? So we have some simple names here, right? Very simple. Then I want to be able to automatically or randomly select from them. I can just go with import random, right, and just go with random.choice. I'll pass in my list. So anytime I run random.choice, I'm automatically going to pick a name, Peter. If I run it again, another name. If I run it again, another name, right? So that is the concept about random, right? From random.choice, automatically pick from a list. So we are going to be using the same thing to pick from this particular list that we have, from the list we have, to give us our work. So I'll just go back again, and then let's go back to the app itself here. Let's create that function. So the function is going to be def generate random, right, as the name goes. Then this simple function is going to take in my list, and then we can also specify the number of words to generate, right? So in case I want to specify the number of words I want to generate, I can also go straight away with this option here of, let's say, number of words to generate, or you can call it as word length or number of words to generate, anyhow you want it to be. So number of words, and I'll give the default number, let's say 7, right? Perfect. So result is going to be the same thing. So as we saw, just as we did here, we're going to look through them. So it's going to be my random.choice. I'll pass in my list. Then for I in range of the number of words, and from there I can just return the results. It's a simple function, right? So this is a simple function that is going to take in a list, then a number, and then it's going to return in this particular one. Perfect. So let's try this particular function here. So I'll go back again and I'll try the function on the animals list, right? So simple, it's going to be generate random. I'll pass in my animals list. I'll specify the number of words here. Perfect, right? So I think it's better we make it number of words, so that it matches up with it. So number of words right here, so that our code looks clean. Okay, now this is going to be for the animal. So let's go back again and try what you have done so far. So I'll move on from here, from the main app to the names list section of the app, and then from there I'm just going to specify the animals list. Let's go with generate. Hopefully it's going to pick from it, and as you can see we have our list of animals, right? Perfect. That means that is working. So the simple idea to generate any random values is just go with this option. You have a list, right, which is this list, Then you randomly select from it with random.choice. Then you are going to loop through them to generate the number or the length or the number of words you want, right? By looping through them. Very simple. You can also make this code beautiful by just specifying that, okay, this is going to be a list, right? This is typing, and then this is going to be an integer or a string, right? No, an integer rather. Then the return result is going to be a format of a list, right? So this typing, right? This is a cleaner code, right? Modern day Python programming. So the result is always going to be in the format of a list. Okay. So let's come down here, and then we have done the same thing for positive words. So we just move on again. Let's generate random. So we have my positive word list, number of words, right? Perfect. Same thing for the negative words. So go back again, copy this. Yep. And then last one, positive adjective. So this is going to be for positive words, for negative words. So I'll change this one to the negative words. Then this is going to be for my adverbs, right? And this is going to be my adverbs list. And the last one is going to be for my adjective. Right, perfect, which is going to be my adjective list. Perfect. Right, so we have created a simple option here again, right? So we can make it better, right? So that is it. So let's go back again and see if everything works as expected. So I'm going to choose adjective. Let's pick adjectives. So it's supposed to be adjective, that's why it's not working. So this must be adjective, right? Yeah, let's click on this option. Perfect, and it's working, right? So our app works as expected. Perfect. So now let's add the other feature of downloading and copying it, right? So this is going to be the same thing here. I'm just going to copy this, right? See the advantage of using the same naming convention for any part of the app. So if I come down here and I just go back to this, we are going to have this feature already there. This is for the random list, right? So perfect, our app is working as expected. So we are done with most part of the app. Most part of the app is done. So now let's move on. We have done with the random list, right? If I click on generate adjectives, it's going to give us the option of being able to get it here. We can copy it, can download it, right? Everything is working as expected. So let's move on from here to the other option of the names list, right? So this is random list, but I want to pick names for my pet, right? So pet names. So this is going to be only for pet names. So I'll just come down here for the next section of the app. Let's change it from this to pet names list, right? Not just names, but pet names. So how do we do that? So this the same thing we did. We need an input. So I'm going to specify the input. So we're going to have the number of words that we want to get. So st.number input, which is going to be the same thing we did above. So let me copy this one, because it's the same thing we are doing to save us time. Yep. Copy this one here, and then I'll paste it here. Right. That is going to be the number, right? Perfect. And we also need to be able to specify something. So to make it very nice and exciting, right, we will be using another approach called, say, alphabet. Let's specify the alphabet type, right? So this is going to make sure that we have, let's say we select the different types of alphabet so that it's going to be rhyming, right? So let's go back with st dot select box. I'm going to specify, let's say, start with character. So our alphabet is start with, right? With alphabet. Oh yeah, start with alphabet. How can't spell. Okay, start with start with, right? Character. So here I'm just going to go back again. I'm going to put a list of all the alphabet there. So how do we do that? So we have A, B, C, D, E. So I can just go back to the top of the app and import another package called string. So import string. Then string has a list of all the alphabets there. So when I come down here, I can just go back again to list, then as string dot ASCII upper. So I'm going to get the uppercase for it, right? So uppercase. Perfect. So the reason I'm using list is going to split them into list, right? Perfect. Now let's check it out. So it's giving us an error here because we made a syntax error. Yeah, here, as you can see, facing it, and then this one goes. Yeah, perfect. So let's move on to the other section of the app. So in case you have any question or contribution, you can put inside the comment section below. And then apologies for how long some of these things are, right? Because we are just doing an app per day. So it's telling us we have a duplicate widget, right? So number input. So that means that you are supposed to change this one from number input to, or add a key to it, right? So let's add a key. So number of words, we can just go back again and specify a key. So let's give the key as, let's say, 2. Save it. Now we're not going to have that particular error. So Streamlit is very good. It gives you a lot of features out of the box. So you see that we have all the characters there. So A, B, C, D, just using this code. We are just splitting the uppercase from this. We have gotten all of these words, right? Perfect. So now how do we pick it in such a way that it rhymes, right? So to pick it, in case it rhymes, it's going to be something like this. So we're going to be using a simple function to help us with that, right? So that is it, right? So I also want to add any. So in case the person doesn't choose any of these alphabets and you want to automatically pick from them, I want to also add that one. So I'll come back again to the app. I'm going to create another list, right? So this is going to be my alphabet list. So alphabet list, right? And this is going to be the same thing. So list my string dot upper dot ASCII upper. That is the particular stuff you are using there. Then I want to add the distance. So alphabet list with any. So I want to add the any as the first option. So it's going to be the same thing we have here. So we can just do it like this, right? We already have this list here, right? We can actually extend, right, with this option. So extend, so list, we have it here said alphabet list dot extend, not append, extend. We are extending it with the word any. Right, let's make it capital. If I go with this option now, I can now come back again. So instead of specifying the characters here, I'll just take off this one here and I'll put in my alphabet list with any. Hopefully it works without giving us an error. So if I go back, so non-object is not iterable. So the reason it's giving us this option is because of this extend, right? I don't know whether it is extends or extend. I've forgotten the Python thing for list. I know we have append. Everybody knows that. Yeah, I think there's nothing like extend. But let's fix it. So what I'll do, I think I'm bringing Julia or something here. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section about this extend stuff. So the simplest approach is that I'll just print this one out. So st.code my alphabet list, and then I will copy it. See how we are copying it. I'll copy this one here, and then I'll paste it here. But you already got the idea anyway, right? You got the idea of how to get the list. So this is how to get the list itself. So this option goes off, then this is going to be my list. So I'll pass in any, and then the remaining list, right? So we have gotten our list well. So let's take off this. Voila, right? So now we have it there. So all the words are there. So the first one is default one is always the first one. So we have any. So that means that if I go with any, I can pick any from them. So let's work on the any option. So for the any, it's going to be like this. So you're going to create a button. So if st.button, let's call it as generate pet names, right? If I say that generate a pet name, what I want you to do is that if the alphabet type is equal to any, that's the first one, now I want you to generate for me. So result, as we did earlier on, Then I'll be using random.choice to give us the same thing here. So you just go with this option. We are looping through them, right? The same thing. So it's going to be my random.choice. So random.choice. We're going to pick from our adjective list. So because we are creating pet names, right? Then I'm just going to go straight away with this option. So class. Let me show you what I mean first. Right? Plus. Then another one. So it's going to be my random.choice. Now let's pass in an animals list, right? Because this is pet name. So this is going to give us a result. So result. So right, pass in the result. So let's test what we have done so far. So if I come back here, this is it. We are not working with the number. So if I go with generate pet name, it's automatically going to generate name for us, right? Pumped. Oh boy, pumped emu, right? If I click it again, delicate hamster. Right, so it's giving us some funny names. So right, so it's working perfectly, right? But we don't only want this one like that. We also want multiple names. So to get multiple names, I'll just use the same for loop we did, right? To get the multiple names. So in that case, it's going to be like this, right? Put this one into a tuple to put them together. Then for I in range, right? Then I'll use the same thing. So number of ways to generate. I'll close it, right? So now if I go back with this, we are adding the two functions that is using for receiving the input. So if I go with generate pet names, from any it automatically will generate 7, right? Very cool, very cool. Fun may fly. More swine. Laugh me. Some of them are very current pick. Oh boy, some of them are funny. Helpful eft. Some of the names are very funny, eh? Right. Okay, so this gives me another idea for the next app. Okay, so you have done something very cool. Now we are done with the app. Everybody can go home. But what about selecting any of these alphabets, right? So if it is not any, we want to pick that particular alphabet there and give us our result. So I'll just bring this one down here so that any of them is going to work. Then it's going to be else. What am I going to do for this? So to be able to select that particular term, right, we can actually use several options. So let's select the term. I'll go back again to my terminal, yeah, and still using the same thing that we had, my list. This was my term. In case I want to select only, let's say J or P, or yeah, let's say I want to select all words that start with J, I can just go with for I in my list, right, print. So I dot, right, start with J. So this is only going to print words that start with J, not the rest, right? J, and then that is it. So if I see that now it has given us true. So true for these ones, right? And then false for the one that were not true. So that is the same idea we're using to help us get our selection for the way that starts with it, right? Very simple. So you can actually convert this one into a list. So it's going to be, you say I, right, for I in my list, if I dot start with J, right? This is another way we can also do that, right? I'll close it. If I run it, we only have the names there, right? So this is a simple function to help us get what we want, right? As everybody understands. So using this one to help us get our result. There's also another way we can also do that using lambda, right? We can also use lambda to help us with that. So in that case, it's going to be very simple. So let's say you have my list, then I'll lambda and filter for my list, my lambda s, then s dot start with, right? This is more advanced, right? Then I'm just going to specify the character, so J, then I'll pass in my list. So this is another way, right? You can also do that. So we are using lambda, we are using filter, we are using list, right? And then let's close it. So this is going to give us our result. So I don't know, yeah. Yeah, it's going to work anyway. So let's go back again to this thing we did. We made a mistake here. So this one closes. Right, so this is it. So let's put it inside a variable, right? Because it's a list. So let's go as arrow. Right, if I go with arrow now, you see that you have our result, right? So either you use this approach or you use this approach, right? Any of them is going to work. So let's see how to use this one inside our function. So I'm just going to copy this one to save us time. Copy this, and I'm going to create that particular function here inside our app itself. So I'll go back again to the top of my app. I'm going to create a function to do the custom filtering. So def custom filter. I'm going to pass in my list, right? Then this is going to also pick in the start word. So let's go to start character. You can give it any name. Then I'm going to turn my result, which is going to be this one. So if you start with the start character, right? So you can use this one, or you can also use the lambda option, which is also going to work. So let me copy that one too, so that future generations can also have access to that code. Right, so either this one or this. So either method 1 or method 2. Right, so this is going to be results. Okay, so this start character. Comment this one out. This is method 2. Method 2, right? All of them is going to work. I'm going to return the result. So this is a simple function that to be used to filter out our words, right? So if I come down here, in case I want to only get a words, I'll just come down here. So else if, let's create those words. So you can just go back to the top of the file, and then we can just create only those a words, right? So let's go to the custom positive. We are only using positive and adjectives. We are using positive. We can use adjective, right? This you can use adjective, but let's use positive words. We use the adjective for another app and it can be used, right? Positive list. Oh, let's go to positive word list. Right, perfect. So I want to positive word list, right? Custom positive word list. Then I'm going to use a function that we created. So custom filter. This function is going to take in my positive list. Then it's going to also take in my alphabet, right? So let's convert the alphabet type, which is coming from here, to uppercase. Perfect. So we have our function. Then do the same thing for the animals. Right, so this is going to be for my animals word list, and then I'll change this one to animals list. Right, the same thing. So 2 functions there. Then from there we can now use the same random to help us with that. So let's return the result. The same thing we did here. Right, the same thing we did here is what we use it. So I'll copy this. Same thing, nothing changes. The only thing that is going to change is the variable names, right? I'll copy this one. I'll change this one to positive word list. Copy this here. So in case you have any question or contribution, you can also put inside the comment section below. And I don't know how the audio is going, but I hope it's well. I hope everybody can hear me well. Apologies for my accent. Okay, so we have done it simply. Perfect. So now we can return the result irrespective of whatever it is. So let's check what you have done so far. I'll go back again to the app, and then we can check it out. So this is it, right? So this is any. So if I go with any, it's automatically going to generate any name for us. Right, very simple, very nice, very funny names, list of names. If I go with the, let's pick a name like, let's say B, right? So we want to get some B names. So automatically going to filter from both fields, right? So list is out of range. So why is list out of range? Let's fist it out. Let's say custom. Number of ways. So let's see why we are making a mistake there. The list is not supposed to be out of range. So let's go back again. Let's pick A. if the A is also out of range, then we know that some of the alphabets don't work. This is out of range. Let's fix that one out. Okay, so the reason we are having that mistake is that if I go back to the word list, right, the word list that we are using, it is not upper, it is lowercase, right? All of them are in lowercase, so that explains why it is saying the list is out of range. So this is going to be lower. So all of them are in lowercase. That explains the error, right? Otherwise, it's going to work, because if I go back to the app itself and I automatically generate any of the names, so let's go with any, you can see that when the result comes, it's always in lowercase, right? I go back to that these are lowercase, so that explains why it was giving us this error. So the solution for it was that we were supposed to convert this one to lowercase, right? Convert the alphabet to lowercase. We can actually use lowercase here, but uppercase is beautiful for the user and lowercase is beautiful for we, right? For the backend. So I'll go back and then I'll specify this one here. Let's generate B. Let's hope it works. So hopefully it works. So beauteous blue jay, beautiful but okay, so that is it. So we have been able to build a very simple app. Now let's add the download feature to it. So I'll go back again and I'll copy them from the top right to save us time, because we have built the same thing. So it is the same thing. I'll copy this one. The advantages of using the same naming style for your app, right? I'll go back here and then I'll paste them here, right? Perfect. So the app is working as expected. So let's go back again, click on generate pet names called B. We have them, just two. Let's see whether I'm going to get some pet names. E, entitled enticed egret, ambulance escargot. I have no idea of what this involves. You can also download it as you wish, as you can see. So the app is working perfectly as expected. So to recap, we have seen how to build a simple app, which is, as a matter of this is just two apps we have built again, right? So we are saying one app a day, but it looks like we are building two different apps most of the time, right? So this is the first app, which is for generating of names, random names, first name, last name, female name, male names. And then we also have the names list, which is for generating random list and then pet names. In case you also want to make it dark theme, you can just go back again to the settings, go back to the theme. Let's change the theme to dark, right? As we saw. Yeah, this one looks nice. I don't know why I was going with the white theme or the light theme, but this is nice, right? So our app works perfectly well. So thank you for watching this tutorial. In case you have any question or contribution, you can put this inside the comment section below, and check our resources on JCharisTech, right? For more, there's also a blog that you can check out more stuff. We have some courses, you can also check it out, and then we also have some courses on Udemy that you can also check it out. And this entire series will also be available for everybody to have access to it. You can get the code here, right, which is going to be published later on after we are finished with the project. Okay, so thank you for watching. See you in the next session. Stay blessed. Bye.